Total Excellium, the fuel that cleans your engine kilometer after kilometer. Total Excellium, the fuel that cleans your engine kilometer after kilometer. Total Excellium, the fuel that cleans your engine kilometer after kilometer. Total Excellium, the fuel that cleans your engine kilometer after kilometer. Total Excellium, the fuel that cleans your engine kilometer after kilometer. Total Excellium, the fuel that cleans your engine kilometer.
And if you'd watched any part of the number 12 yesterday, I'm sure this song came to mind. So Nipa Neja Isamai, Nipa Hui Hupa Baby. Congratulations all around to the Tiger Eye Pie team. It was pandemonium at some point getting into that hall, but I tell you, Ghanaians are very concerned about corruption in their country. Don't let anybody tell you that we just talk and do nothing. The number of people we saw from the various walks of life braving the rain. Some people got home at 2 a.m. because they stayed for the last showing. Those who went for the 3 a.m., the 3 p.m. literally came out around 6. So it was like 30 minutes or so delayed for everybody. But at the end of the day, for me, the people of Ghana, the commitment they showed, the anger they expressed, and the applause they gave to people who refuse bribes tells me that, look, people really want our leaders to do the right thing. And I think that's, for me, the biggest takeaway. Like, there was a lady, or there was a gentleman who was approached to sort of influence a referee. He said, Charlie, I don't do those things. They approached another guy. He said, look, as for me, it's not who you know. If you are good, you get into the team. Charlie. So please, I don't want anything. And it tells you that there are people who want to do the right thing. Yeah. We need to highlight them more, and of course expose the evildoers. This is the newspaper review segment. Is brought to us by Fidelity Bank. We have over 75 branches and a nationwide presence. We provide you the most convenient ways to receive your remittance through Western Union, Unity Link, Express Money, Ria, MoneyGram, and many more. You can redeem your remittances even on Sundays at our Ring Road and Action Chapel branches. The good news is that this Ramadan we are rewarding all remittance customers with instant gifts. So Eji Akwaku Sapong and Kojo Akotobuating are here to take us through the newspapers to just let you get a feel of what's in town. So guys, good morning.
Good morning, Bernard.
How are you? I'm well, thank you. So where are we starting from?
With the Ghanaian Times, shock, outrage greets Anas's video. Anas's explosive video, top referees, Suka Wellington, others fingered. Kennedy Japan dragged before privileges committee, and president cracks whip, sends sacks Kolebu boss, GPHA, GEPA bosses.
If you go to the Daily Graphic, number 12 shocks nation. There's a picture of hundreds of Ghanaians at the AICC waiting to get in to watch number 12. President cuts sword for Kumasi Airport Phase 2 project, and bust CEO, Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority Director General sacked.
The Today newspaper, thousands defy rains to watch Anas's number 12 video. Nana goes wild, sacks 4 CEOs of state institutions.
Daily Heritage, Nyantechi must go. Angry Ghanaians charge after watching number 12 documentary. Should AG provide docs to accused persons? Supreme Court to provide blueprint today. Supreme Court sets October for Montier 3 pardon case, and 50% Maslock loans for women must target women with disabilities.
The Chronicle, Akufo-Addo on sacking spree. Paul Ansah, Alfred Obeng, Gifty Clenham sent home, more to follow. Thousands queue to watch Anas's strip football gurus.
The new crusading guide, Kennedy Japan in trouble for insulting parliament. Anas expose how Nyantechi schemed to pocket 25% of alleged sponsorship deal, and top CEO sacked.
The Business find a complete phase 2 of Kumasi Airport in 24 months. President charges contractor and gas production to spark industrial revolution. Dr. Asante.
The BNFT Sankofa gas price to be reviewed as production begins June 26. This is from the GIPCON, the Ghana International Petroleum Conference. Cylinder recirculation, no cause for alarm. Another story from GIPCON. NPA tells LPG marketers and operators. Citi's troubled performance under control. Bank of Ghana. World Bank predicts 6.7% growth in 2019. Only 2% of plastic waste generated is recycled, and President breaks ground for 66.4 million euro Kumasi Airport Phase 2 project.
All right, so let me take you online. If you go to citinewsroom.com, Ken Japan to face Privileges Committee, as you read, for insulting Parliament. Also, Bost MD2 other government CEOs fired. Also, number 12, no one can call Kennedy Japan to order. This is an excerpt from what Nyantechi said. We have an infographic on the major characters. I'll actually try and use that to explain the whole scandal to you. There are a couple of infographics on citinewsroom.com that explain everything. Meanwhile, we are told long queues at AICC ahead of Anas's number 12 premiere with photos and videos to explain all of that. If you go to My Joy Online, the full story, how Nyantechi sold Ghana for $11 million. Kennedy Japan held before Privileges Committee. Shock, disappointment dominate Facebook reactions after Anas's number 12 premiere. And essentially those are the stories there, plus Facebook investors reject re-election of Zuckerberg to board. If you go to citybusinessnews.com, Ghana gas struggling due to VRA's inability to pay debt. Oh boy. Also, Telcom's chamber pledges support for CMP, and GRA closes down Metro TV for owing 2.3 million Ghana cedis in taxes.
Oh.
The BBC's Africa page, football scandal in West Africa. And it's very interesting. So this is not just the Anas Ghana version, it's the the West Africa version that's trending on the BBC. Also, we're told scores of Ethiopians drowned off Yemen coast. So we're going to give you a flavor of the stories from yesterday's event, from the cues to the reactions to the content itself.
If you go to page 3 of the Daily Graphic, number 12 shocks nation. Edmond Smith, Asante, and Mabel Akubanase filed this report for the newspaper. It says the premiering of Anas's number 12 undercover investigative video, dubbed When Misconduct and Greed Become the Norm, at the Accra International Conference Center yesterday, lived up to its billing as an explosive piece. Easily a blockbuster of which Hollywood would be envious, the video attracted hundreds of patrons who cheered, booed, laughed, and screamed at the scenes. The screening of the video had to be paused several times to cool the tempers of viewers who were visibly shocked at the ease with which Anas Arimiyao Anas's investigative team bribed referees, match commissioners, officials of the GFA, the National Sports Authority, and the Ministry of Youth and Sports with sums as low as 300 Ghana cedis to influence the showing of yellow and red cards, the award of penalties, and engagement in visa deals. The money paid to the officials ranged between 300 cedis and 5,000 cedis. Other forms of inducement to referees, match commissioners, and officials included goats
And sheep.
cooking oil,
Rice.
and rice.
Yes.
The president of the GFA, Mr.
Christmas.
Kwesi Nyantechi, was paid the highest amount of $65,000 for assuring investors, who later turned out to be Anas's team members, of his readiness to get them good sponsorship deals and juicy contracts in the government.
So the other story has to do with the queues before people got in
Yes.
and the reactions from people.
And this is in the Ghanaian Times. And after several weeks of suspense and speculation, the much-awaited controversial expose of investigative journalist Anas Arimiyao Anas was yesterday finally premiered at the Accra International Conference Center. The 2-hour, 10 minutes video, dubbed number 12, shocked hundreds of football fanatics and others who gathered behind a big screen not to watch a football match, but how corruption thrived in Ghanaian Ghanaian football. They were held spellbound when the man at the center of the controversy, president of the GFA, Kwesi Nyantakyi, veered off the football pitch into the realms of politics, promising heaven and earth to some investors. As early as 1 p.m., hundreds of people started trooping into the venue to get the best spots to watch the video put together by Tiger Eye PI in collaboration with global broadcaster BBC. There was tight security at the venues, with patrons being searched twice before being allowed into the auditorium, and also people who had bottled water being asked to take a sip to confirm if it's truly water. Scores of people who had tickets to view the 3 p.m. viewing
acid attacks
at all. People who had tickets to view the 3 p.m. showing were stranded, as others with tickets for later showings were allowed to enter the auditorium to fill in the seat. And they also had to prevent the recording and snapping of the videos, and one person who did that was ushered out. We're also moving on to number 12 exposes rot in Ghana football. At the end of the first showing of the much anticipated number 12, the auditorium of the conference center turned into a party ground as the crowd danced to Spanish singer Shakira's Waka Waka tune, which was composed to urge African countries in the 2010 World Cup. This was because Mr. Nyantakyi was drafting the MOU amid scratching his head in an unknown location outside Ghana to seal the deal, which was worth millions of dollars. The crowd expressed surprise at the bravado of Mr. Nyantakyi, who expressed impeccable knowledge of the government and impending projects in the road sector, vouching that investors will take over the country if they were to part ways with their money.
Let me bring you two more angles from the Daily Graphic. So the Daily Graphic says that the room erupted with loud cheers when Mr. Nyantakyi urged the investors to find money to settle the firebrand politician, Mr. Kennedy Japan, whom he described as very loud. According to Mr. Nyantakyi, settling Mr. Japan would make the investors have absolute control of most contracts without any distractions from Mr. Japan, who took on his own party very often. Mr. Nyantakyi also told the investors that the Ministry of Transport was allegedly created for Mr. Japan, who had earlier declined to take up a ministerial appointment on the grounds that he, Mr. Japan, was indisciplined. And there's a related story to that in the New Crusading Guide. Now, I'll give you the Father Campbell angle. The story says the chairman for the premiering, Reverend Father Campbell, in his remarks said that the video should bring us together as men of integrity for Ghana, adding that corruption serves as a disincentive to everyone wanting to invest in Ghana. He also said that when parents buy exam papers for children to pass, it is the beginning of corruption in the home. And sadly, we are telling our children that it doesn't matter who you are, but what you have. Honesty is the best policy.
There's a lot in this that we would break down for listeners throughout the show. We have Neil Antivandapoy coming in to have a chat about the GFA aspects. But then Ken has been hauled before the Privileges Committee of Parliament. That's also trending.
Yes, the New Crusading Guy says that Kennedy Japan in trouble for insulting Parliament. The story says that the Assistant Central Member of Parliament, Kennedy Japan, has been dragged before the Privileges Committee of the House for calling the legislature useless. The Minority Caucus described the attitude as one which is unbecoming of the controversial MP, saying his comment in the media repeatedly brings the name of Parliament into disrepute. Chief Whip Muntaka Mubarak says the minority now has evidence that Mr. Japan called Parliament useless, and he will push for him to be dragged before the Privileges Committee.
Well, also in the Ghanaian Times, he also gives another angle that according to Alhaji Mutaka, Mr. Japan in the recording said if this house was not useless, they would not have the likes of Mr. Osei Mensa Bonsu as its leader. Mr. Speaker, I find this to be very offensive, unbecoming of a member of parliament, and for the past weeks, he has been on rampaging insults, Alhaji Mutaka added. He went on to say that I think these comments and insults are not only to the majority leader, but to many others and to parliament. They are defamatory, contemptuous, and he should face all the rigors.
Now, while that was happening, the president was also cracking the whip. He cleared 4 CEOs in less than an hour. This story is everywhere. The president has relieved the CEO of BOST, Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, Kolebu Teaching Hospital, and the Export Promotion Center of their positions.
Let me bring you that story. Okay. It's also in the Crusading Guide. It says that the heads of Ghana Ports Authority, Mr. Paul Ansa, Ghana Export Promotion Authority, Gifty Clenam, and the Bulk Oil Storage and Transport Company, Alfred Obing Boateng, have had their appointments terminated as part of the government's restructuring program. Mr. Paul Ansa, MD of GPHA, has been replaced by Michael Luguje, who currently is the Secretary General Port Management Association for West Africa and Central Africa, based in Nigeria. Now, reasons for Mr. Paul Ansa's removal from office are not immediately known, but it is believed to have been triggered by a recent spat between Workers' Union of the Ports Authority and the board chair, Peter McMenu, whom they accused of engaging in wrongful undertakings as well as running a family and friends administration. The story goes on to talk about Mr. Obeng and the various issues that happened at BOST. It says, in the case of Alfred Obeng, the letter signed by the Executive Secretary of the President, Nana Bediatu Asante, said Mr. Obeng has until Friday, June 8, to hand over to one George Mensah Oakley. Mr. Obeng Boateng's reign as BOST Managing Director has been dogged by one controversy and another relating to the sale of contaminated fuel to some private organizations.
Movenpina and
Yes.
Zoop Oil, which were allegedly set up days before the sale.
Yes. And the story says he was, however, cleared by the BNI, according to the Energy Minister, Boache Jako. Now, Gifty Klenam's story too, we know of the various stories that came up, the rent issues, the funds that were advanced to certain people without any proper paperwork and all that. So that is mentioned. But what the New Crusading Guide fails to mention is the Kolebu CEO's story.
Okay, that is in other papers, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well, in the Ghanaian Times, on the Kolebu CEO, they said though reasons given for his removal was not unclear, a letter reportedly directed to him gave him 48 hours to pack out of his office and hand over any Kolebu assets in his possession.
So those are the key stories for the day, but there are other important stories. For example, in the graphic center spread,
It's page 16. The president cut a sword for the Kumasi Airport Phase 2 project. Now, that story is by Donald Ato Dapatem. It says President Nana Addo Akufo-Addo yesterday cut the sword for work to begin on the construction of the second phase of the Kumasi Airport project. Estimated at 66.3 million euros, the project, expected to be completed in 24 months, will involve the extension of the runway from the current 1,900 meters to 2,300 meters, an addition of 319 meters, and the construction of a new terminal building with a capacity to hold 1 million passengers per year. The implementation of the project is expected to create jobs for more than 1,200 masons, steel benders, tilers, and carpenters. Bernard, I have a quick comment on this though. When we had the Ghana Institution of Engineers Week, the 50th anniversary, I spoke to some people on the sidelines about Terminal 3. And these people are engineers who told me that they felt that the cost was a bit on the high. I don't know whether the Ghana Institution of Engineers and other professional bodies like that are also looking at new projects like this and ensuring that there's value for money for Ghanaians. It's supposed to last for 24 months, and it's supposed to create jobs for 1,200 people directly and indirectly.
Well, in the Business Finder, the president has urged contractors working on the second phase of the Kumasi Airport to ensure the project is completed within 24 months. With funding having been secured for the project, the president stated that there should be no excuse for any delays by contractors to generate cost overruns. Delivery of the project on schedule should be the watchword of the contractors. He said this as he cut the sword.
if you watch the Anas video, there was a long sequence where Kwesi Nyantakyi was talking about contract valuation.
And said that
where he said in Ghana, a road project that could cost $70 million in New York could cost $150 million. And so he has confirmed a lot of things that we suspected about roads. One of the things that broke my heart, he said, was that the transport minister can do a couple of roads for him in his area if he wants. If you think of how much we've argued and shouted about roads, and to think that somebody can simply tell the transport minister or the road minister to build a road somewhere so that his people will be happy, so that they can get a cut. It's really sad that people can profit from our problems this way. That the fact that you need a road is good for somebody. And they admit that they bloat contracts, and then they also admit that when people campaign and they don't have money and they are broke, they come to power looking for money. You know, so it's, for me, there are lots of things in there we should take our time and go through.
Absolutely.
And this should lead to a lot of reform, even in funding of elections. For somebody who is the GFA president to claim that the president sold houses to come to power and that he's looking for, his family members are looking for money. I mean, it's unbelievable. Now, there's a story I want to just bring in quickly on the oil and gas sector quickly. CitiBusinessNews.com says Ghana Gas struggling due to VRA's inability to pay debt. Some things never change, like debt owed in the energy sector. Failure of the Volta River Authority to pay some $500 million it owes the Ghana Gas Company is said to be having a toll on the production of gas in the country. The debt, which has been lingering on for years now, accumulated as a result of the supply of lean gas for power generation by the Ghana Gas Company. As of May 2017, the VRA had paid only 30% of the total debt it owed Ghana Gas, leaving a substantial amount, not substantive, still unpaid. Speaking to Citi Business News on the sidelines of the Ghana International Petroleum Conference, GIPCON, organized as part of Citi Business Festival, CEO of the Ghana National Gas Company, Dr. Ben Asante, said government's failure to pay for services rendered by its outfit is having a negative impact on the operations. Here's a quote: "The challenge is that we supply to customers and they don't pay us. Our brothers and sisters at VRA owe us a chunk of this money," he lamented. You know, it's funny that when it comes to government business, you can owe. If somebody owed this company 500 million, who would have been dead long gone.
Yeah.
You get me? So, I mean, and think about it, Metro TV owes GRA.
2.3.
They've gone to close them down.
Yeah.
So why is VRA owing Ghana Gas and everybody's going on as if nothing matters?
Because VRA is a cousin of Ghana.
So should Ghana Gas be praying to you get me?
Yeah.
Think about it. GRA went to close the Metro TV for tax arrears of 2.3 million. Metro TV has been in existence for years. We've gone to close them down. VRA owes Ghana Gas 500 million. And we are all just going on as if nothing. Are we serious? How do you expect? So, if how do you expect Ghana Gas to do its work?
Can we
Then
also,
they'll come around and say we have done something that we can't pay. So, I mean, no.
can we also ask why after the ESLA bonded fund and all that, the VRA still keeps owing some of and the debts are not
And
reduced?
it's not just the ESLA bond, though.
Yeah.
There's also the tax, debt recovery levy. Then now there's ESLA bond.
Yes.
And yet, do you know what 500 million is?
It's a lot of money.
Charlie, energy minister, you for wake up. you.
Let me give you more from the GIPCON. Sankofa gas price to be reviewed as production begins June 26. The story says there are indications government will renegotiate the headline price of an estimated $9.8 MMBTU for gas for the Sankofa field, but it does not look like this will be done before production officially commences on June 26. You know, Sankofa gas is coming June 26. Now, the concerns being raised by certain people in the sector is that they believe that ENI and Vitol made some savings of some $400 million on the estimated $7 billion project. Gas prices are also dropping, and a couple of things have changed in the industry. So we should review the contractual price of $9.8 per unit downwards, else Ghanaians would pay more for the Sankofa gas. So that is really the issue. Now, the boss of Ghana Gas says that he doesn't really know the contractual agreement, but he believes that negotiations are ongoing and ENI will pass on the savings in the form of reduction in the pricing.
All right.
Well, the boss of Ghana Gas, speaking at GIPCON as well, is saying gas production to spark an industrial revolution in the business finder. So government,
For the 500 million. Let's move to other stories.
so government is looking beyond using gas for power generation and venture into using gas as feedstock to spark the industrial revolution. As a result, plans are in place to use gas for fertilizer production and for mining activities, especially bauxite, according to Dr. Ben Asante, CEO of Ghana Gas. And he also went on to say that expected gas from the ENI project is set to flow from June 26, 2018 and will exceed current supply by 50%.
Bernard, I'm going to banking, but do you know that about 8 months after the atomic junction explosion, we don't have a final investigative report? And this is due to the fact that some agencies have still not completed their work and submitted their reports to the NPA and the government. Yesterday, a director of the NPA told us that the fire service has still not submitted their report to the NPA, even though the NPA had written to them several times to get their reports. These are some of the issues that we need to get to. Now, on banking...
No, but before that, even in the Chronicle, a quick one on this particular topic, the Environmental Protection Agency, in collaboration with its stakeholders, will step up surveillance and compliance enforcement to ensure safety at all gas and fuel stations across the country.
Now, on banking, some banks lose global partners. This is the graphic business. The story says the decision by major banks around the world to reduce their corresponding banking relationships in jurisdictions they have identified as high-risk areas is beginning to have a negative impact on local banks. As a result, the Bank of Ghana has noted that some banks have lost some of their corresponding banks. And now the new banks which just entered the sector are also finding it difficult to secure reputable financial institutions to represent them in the world's major financial sectors.
Now, only 2% of plastic waste generated is recycled. This story is on the front page of the BNFT. It's written by Rashida Ibrahim. Says the Minister for Environment, Science and Technology, Professor Kwabena Frimpong-Boateng, has expressed his satisfaction at the current low recycling rate of plastic waste in the country. Ghana currently recycles just 2% of total plastic waste generated by households and businesses, a situation that he noted is not enough to combat the plastic waste pollution menace which the country is faced with.
Well, on sanitation still, and after saying on point of view that the money hasn't come, the Ministry of Finance has released 200 million cedis to the Ministry of Sanitation and Water Resources to finance the sanitation programs. So the Minister, Mr. Kofi Adda, disclosed this at a dialogue on sanitation at the Australian High Commission in Accra yesterday, and said his outfit was now doing the necessary paperwork to access and utilize the money.
So the money, is a process. So it will eventually get to where it has to get to. That's what we are being told.
We are being told by the graphic that the Accra Kaswa Road has been opened, so it's giving some relief to road users at the Malam Junction section. And also page 47 of the daily graphic, the NPA has published the indicative ex-pump prices of petroleum products. You may want to check it out.
So what, have prices gone up again?
They went up on Sunday. So Agapet 4.9 cedis. So they've listed all that. So you'd want to check it out to see how much is selling.
Oh Lord, interesting stuff indeed. Time to say thank you guys for being on the news preview. That was AJ Akwaku Sapong and Kojo Akoto Boateng. Coming up next is the Citi Business News.
This is Draft a Kilometer. Total Exalium, the fuel that cleans your engine kilometer after kilometer.